you're getting almost double taxed. Your tax would be about half of what it is if you would just invest outside of your 401k plan.
You're going to learn how to profit from things that only make most people poorer. This is Get Rich Education with Keith Weinhold.
How would you like $1.8 million 30 years from now? Does that sound good to you? Does that sound like an adequate retirement? Well, that could be what you're setting yourself up for if you're relying on retiring on a 401k, and I'm here to tell you why $1.8 million is woefully inadequate for you. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold. This is Get Rich Education. $1.8 million in retirement is what you are setting yourselves up for, even if you're a good saver in your 401k plan. If you put $15,000 a year into your 401k plan and it gets an 8% return, and you do that for 30 years and you get that 8% compounded return every year, that's what you end up with, just $1.8 million. And maybe you're still thinking, what do you mean just $1.8 million? I think I could live on that. Whoa. You need to understand some things about inflation and taxes. So though 401ks today are known as tax deferral plans, what it really is a life deferral plan. And I'm going to tell you why. Hey, if you think you're getting some good value from this, go ahead and put a like on this video. Not only does that help that video show up in your feed in the future, but that's instructive to me that you do indeed like what you're seeing and that you'd like more unconventional financial content like this. First of all, you need to be a disciplined saver, and you're probably sacrificing for a 30-year chunk of your life. Maybe it's working weekends. Maybe it's missing out on your child's softball game or whatever it is in order to work enough to get $15K in there every single year without fail. But we're going to assume that you do that. To give you an idea of how generous that is, understand that the average 401k balance of someone 60 to 69 years old is just $182,000. So I'm saying that you are 10xing what the average 60 to 69-year-old does. But we'll say you've accumulated this $1.8 million. And proponents of the 401k say this is smart because that $15K that you put in every year, that can grow and compound tax deferred over time. So effectively what you do with this 401k, or whatever the plan is in your country, but it's some sort of defined contribution plan, is that you're not paying tax on the seed when you put it in. You're paying tax on the harvest at the end. So you need to begin with the end in mind. So we talk about you paying tax on the harvest. You must begin taking 401k distributions, withdrawals, between age 59 and a half and 72, and you must begin paying tax on it at that time. Now, here's the thing that a lot of 401k participants don't understand when it comes time to paying tax, which you must do at the end of your life, and oftentimes it's too late to make changes then. You're getting almost double taxed. Your tax would be about half of what it is if you would just invest outside of your 401k plan. Because if you invest outside of your 401k plan, you're only subject to capital gains tax rates, which are between 15 and 20%. You need to be making about $500,000 or more per year to pay the 20% rate. So for most people, you'd be paying a 15% long-term capital gains tax rate if you would just invest your money outside of a 401k plan. When you invest your money inside of a 401k plan, later in life, again, between age 59 and a half and 72, is when you must begin paying the higher ordinary income tax rates on your 401k distributions. Those rates are up to 37%. The current administration wants to raise them up to back where they were previously, which is 39.6%. So therefore, your tax is almost double when you go ahead and take distributions from your 401k plan than they would be if you would pay the lower capital gains tax rate, 15% for a lot of people. And many 401k participants earlier in life, they say, wait, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket at the end of my life. I'm not going to pay as high as 37% or 39.6 or more. Maybe it will be down somewhere like 20 or 25%. Well, I'm here to tell you, plan for prosperity. You're planning to be poor. Why would you set up your life such that when you're retired and now you have all the time to do these things you want to do, you're going to want to spend more money, not less. That's why you need to plan for prosperity. Do you want to have a retirement that gives you the opportunity to stroll French vineyards or visit Mediterranean islands or take a cross-country RV trip with your family, or even something more simple in taking your kids or your grandchildren to the local amusement park. Plan for prosperity. You're going to have time to spend the money. I don't really think you want to be in a situation where you have to shop at Aldi's and eat Chef Boyardee ravioli while you're watching Netflix. Who really wants to set up and live a small life after you've made all these sacrifices for decades earlier in your life? Hey, well, if you're getting some good value here, I would love to have you as a subscriber. And when you touch the subscribe button, be sure to hit the notification bell next to it. That's how you're assured of getting my next video on really powerful and unconventional wealth building ideas. So don't plan to be poor. Let's get back to the $1.8 million. Why is that woefully inadequate then? Well, look, let's just say you pay a tax rate of 25% in retirement when you take those withdrawals of your 401k. Let's say that's your ordinary income tax rate. A lot of people think taxes are going to be higher later in life. I'm really giving you the benefit of the doubt in so many ways here. But at 25%, that would take your $1.8 million nest egg down to $1.35 million. Then we need to factor in inflation. So many people overlook this. The long-term rate of inflation, the diminished purchasing power of your dollar, is about 3%. So if you take that $1.35 million that you had left over after paying that 25% tax, on an inflation-adjusted basis, 3% inflation over 30 years, that erodes your $1.35 million nest egg down to just $556,000. That is a real number. Inflation is a real thing. So many people overlook this. So what is $556K going to give you in retirement? Would that give you, say, 2 good years? Or 10 really lean years? I mean, are you going to hope that you die without getting too old? I mean, come on, this is woefully inadequate. You need to plan for prosperity. And again, most people don't even get anywhere near this much saved. Even if you did, it's not going to be good for you. And with this $556K, I'm only considering the deleterious effects of taxes and inflation. I'm not talking about the fees. I'm not talking about the volatility. I'm not talking about the emotional component, which often causes people to sell low and buy high, which is exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to do. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt in so many ways here. If you do the easy thing, if you do the lazy thing, you don't get a good result. If you just go ahead and participate in the plan that the employer makes so easy for you that it's just automatically deducted from your paycheck, sometimes you don't even need to opt in for it anymore, that's when you don't get a good result or outcome at the end. It's a lot like if you want a good body and you just do the lazy thing and the easy thing and you don't exercise and you sit on the sofa eating cup of noodles and watching movies all day, you're going to get a pretty soft body. So when you do the easy thing, the lazy thing, the automatic thing, you don't usually get a good result at the end. It's really no different with 401ks. In fact, the very man that invented the 401k, his name is Ted Benna. He was my podcast guest on Get Rich Education Podcast, episode 197. And when he came on my Get Rich Education podcast with me, he basically said that the plans are not set up to serve people the way that he intended them to, or he hoped that they would. Now, he wasn't a complete critic of 401k plans, but in fact, Ted Benna, the inventor of the 401k, is an active real estate investor today. That's where the real returns come from, and that's what I'm into. So the very inventor of the 401k, he was somewhat critical of how they're used today. I really suggest checking out that episode, Get Rich Education number 197. But Ted and I both agreed on that show that 401k plans, they're still better than nothing. If you think you're just going to gamble and fritter all your money away, well, it's better to have that 401k than nothing else at all. Also, I think personally that if you get a 100% match, a dollar per dollar match with your employer, then I think it is worth contributing up to that level. I've even had some guests like Tom Wheelwright come on my podcast, and he is critical, and he doesn't think one should take the 100% match either. But in any case, I don't understand why anyone would really invest in a 401k when you understand some of the alternatives that are out there. In fact, here's an interesting one. When 401ks were rolled out, and I corroborated this with Ted Benna, the inventor of the plan, you know what they were called? Salary reduction plans. How appealing does it sound to you to get involved and participate fully in a salary reduction plan?
Wow, that sounds tantalizing. I'm just a video editor. I can't speak for everybody, but that sounds tantalizing, doesn't it, guys?
Why would you really want to participate at all? They had to scrap that name, salary reduction plan, and replace it with something else to help foster participation in 401ks. But you know what? Salary reduction is principally still what a 401k does to you. It reduces your salary today. In the most important dollars that you can invest, those are the dollars that you invest today, not 10 or 30 years from now. What it really is a life deferral plan, and I'm going to tell you why. Hey, if you think you're getting some good value from this, go ahead and put a like on this video. Now, what do I mean about this life deferral plan? Isn't it prudent to delay gratification in life until you're older and then you can spend the money? Well, wait a second. Think this through. Say you put $1 in at age 35 and you do that from age 35 on, how much are you really getting back out at age 65? Well, I said inflation adjusted, you're only getting $556K back out after 30 years. You put $450K in. So at best, if you're putting $1 in, you're only getting about $1.20 out or so after 30 years. Do you really want to trade $1 when you're 35 in order to get $1.20 back when you're 65? And again, I don't even think you're going to get that $1.20 back. It takes a ton of discipline and it takes a lot of things going your way. I don't know if that's worth it. Maybe I should put it this way for you. Would you trade an hour of your 35-year-old self to get back 1.2 hours of your 65-year-old self? When you're trading your time for dollars, that's essentially what you're doing. And this is really a big philosophical question. You're trading away your todays to get something tomorrow that might not be as good. I mean, look, how do you know your 65-year-old self is going to be nearly as good as your 35-year-old self? How do you know your mental faculties are still going to be there? Some tragic things happen to people. People get disabling injuries that change them over time. But even if you live a quote-unquote normal life, maybe age 58 is the last year you're able to capably get up on the surfboard or whatever it is. So you're trading away part of your younger self for your older self. Is that a trade that's really worth making? Invest in your future, that's a popular mantra, but that's incomplete. Why would you only invest in your future, period, when you can invest in your now without hemorrhaging the future? That's what you can do when you, instead of participating in a 401k, you do something like invest in real estate, a vehicle that's made more ordinary people wealthy than anything else. Real estate has better tax advantages than a 401k plan, and it has higher rates of return because you're leveraged, and importantly, it creates cash flow. You shouldn't even buy a property unless it produces an income stream for you today that pays you monthly from age 35 all the way to 65 and beyond. So why only invest for the future then, often hemorrhaging the present, when you can invest for your future without sacrificing the now and live a better quality of life all your life? Why wouldn't one want to do that? A lot of people just don't know or understand about a vehicle like real estate investing. Delayed gratification, it's actually not a phrase that I love. Now, I think there is a little something to be said for some delayed gratification, especially earlier in one's life. But that shouldn't be a mantra for life, because at what point does delayed gratification turn into denied gratification? That's a really precarious place to be. A lot of this can get really touchy-feely. If you understand that you're living your last life ever, which is currently what you're doing, you're living your last life ever right now, why would you want to defer that life or plan for a small life later on? Hey, if you're religious, I know a lot of religions believe in an afterlife, but I would think you would agree that at least here on this earth, you are living your last life ever. Set your life up for prosperity, living the best life, and not delaying so much gratification, which is really one of the downfalls of the 401k plan. And I don't think you're ever going to be gratified on $556K, which is the purchasing power that you're going to have in 30 years. So you need to do something better. Learn about a vehicle that's proven to build wealth, like real estate investing. That's what we talk about here. And really, this video is more about what not to do than it is about what to do. 401ks lull people into a sense of complacency. They think things are going to be better later, and they never had the benefit of seeing material like this and understanding what the end really would look like for them. That's why $1.8 million saved up by putting $15K per year in a 401k plan at an 8% rate of return is woefully inadequate. You can do better than that, and you need to find an alternative. And you know, that $1.8 million is really a level that most people don't reach anyway. I'm Keith Weinhold. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Americans are not saving for retirement. It's going to get worse as people live longer, so you need to think differently, but you can't lose your time. Real estate is the investment vehicle that has created more million and billionaires than anything else. Get Rich Education is one of America's top investing shows disrupting Wall Street. Your host, Keith Weinhold, is a true financial educator and has been an income property investor since 2002. Get Rich Education has created millions in passive monthly income for its followers. Now, Keith has a free book, The 7 Money Myths That Are Killing Your Wealth Potential. Get your copy now at getricheducation.com/book. Invest in what produces income for you now and later. Use the link in the description to download for free The 7 Money Myths That Are Killing Your Wealth Potential. Get Rich Education is on every podcasting platform and has its own native iOS and Android apps. Join Get Rich Education Nation to create financial freedom through real estate investing. Subscribe wherever you listen.